What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're excited to continue talking about the 2023 NFL Draft, what the Dallas Cowboys need, certain positions. In fact, that's what we're doing today. We're going to be talking about one position specifically, that is the guard position. Before we get there, it's exciting. All right, we have now single-digit days to go. Now we have, 8 days until the 2023 NFL Draft begins. I'm putting this video together at least with 8 days to go, depending on when you see it. Maybe it's a little bit different. But today for me is Wednesday, April 19th. It's about 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And so you never know when things are going to change. You never know when the next big thing is going to be happening. On Wednesday morning, we actually woke up to some Trey Lance news. Obviously, that could have an impact at the top of the NFL draft, but that does not concern us. We are here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and today we are here to talk about the guard position, interior offensive line. Depending on what kind of mood you're in, I guess the Cowboys can go a number of directions in the first round of the NFL draft. They could go tight end. That's kind of been the hot topic, not the store, but the hot topic as of late, with a lot of people either really for or really against the tight end position. We talked about that on this week's Blog and the Boys Roundtable here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe so you get access to those things. And we're going to be live actually throughout the entire NFL draft. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that. We're also going to be streaming on Twitch if that's more of your thing. So follow us on Twitch. I think it's called follow, but whatever. Anyway, Cowboys could go tight end. Cowboys could go corner if things work out a certain direction. Cowboys could go wide receiver if things work out a certain direction. Or the Cowboys could be boring. They could just take an interior offensive lineman and continue to beef up and build that offensive line. Obviously, the Cowboys offensive line isn't what it was circa 2015, 2016. That was kind of the greatest version of the offensive line that a lot of national people think the Cowboys still have, right? You know, you look, again, on a national level, people say the Cowboys offensive line, it's one of the best in the NFL. And I'm not here to knock the Cowboys offensive line, but we all know, if you follow this team on a day-to-day basis, that it's definitely lost a little bit of shine relative to who they were, 7-8 years ago. Now the Cowboys did add to the offensive line, obviously, last year with an interior offensive lineman, at least theoretically, in Tyler Smith. Obviously, he played a majority of the season at left tackle, but the Cowboys have a void now. They have a hole because Connor McGovern left in free agency to the Buffalo Bills. And if you want to find a spot where the Cowboys could draft a plug-and-play starter on day one or day two, it is definitely at the guard position. I would offer the tight end as another, but again, I get it if you feel a certain way. So Cowboys' current offensive line, or rather current interior offensive lineman, I've put Tyler Smith with a question mark here because we really don't know. The Cowboys can go a number of ways here. The Cowboys could assemble an offensive line that from left to right is Tyron Smith, Tyler Smith, so on and so forth, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, and Terrence Steele. Or the Cowboys could choose to keep Tyler Smith, the second-year player out of Tulsa. It's, people get confused. Tyler Smith, Tyron Smith, whatever. Keep Tyler Smith at left tackle and then kind of figure things out with Tyron. Now, we've heard the Cowboys float different ideas in terms of who they could play at left guard. In that scenario, the Cowboys seem keen on keeping Tyler at left tackle, on building him up to be their left tackle of the future, maybe their left tackle of the present. Who knows? But if Tyler Smith is playing left tackle, that leaves a very obvious void at the left guard position. Now, Zach Martin is listed here because he is an interior offensive lineman, but he's not playing left guard. He's obviously playing the right guard position. Chuma Edoga, who the Cowboys signed in free agency, is an option. They have mentioned this several times to start at left guard. Matt Farniok is a name that we've also talked about a few times in the past. But that's about it. And that's why this is a high-level position of need, position of concern, position of focus, whatever you want to call it, for the Cowboys entering the draft. So important names to know. We've got two here because it does kind of feel likely that one of these two players could be a Cowboy. These are the two we're going to talk about a little bit here. Osiris Torrance out of Florida and Steve Avila out of TCU. Again, it's the NFL draft. And so we could sit here and we could outline, 5, 6, 10, 20, 30, 50 names, whatever the case may be. But these are the names that are important to know as we get kind of into the beginnings of the NFL draft, because obviously as day 3 comes and goes, it's a little bit more of a crapshoot. But that being said, Osiris Torrance, kind of the consensus best guard in the draft. And if the Cowboys were to land him, you really, and either one of these two options, you have a plug and play immediate day one starter at left guard. Now that would answer a lot of questions for us. Like I said, I'm putting this video together on Wednesday, April 19th. On Tuesday, April 18th, Stephen Jones was on 105.3 The Fan. I wrote about this at bloggingtheboys.com if you want to check it out. And he talked about how they want to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle. This will give us that answer, right? If the Cowboys are able to not only have Osiris Torrance fall to them at 26 overall, or if you want to include some hypothetical where they trade up, I would be just stunned if the Cowboys traded up in the first round. They haven't done that in 11 years. This would answer that question for us, right? If the Cowboys were to land O'Cyrus Torrence or Steve Avila for that matter, let's go ahead and show him. Actually, let's move me to the other side here. So let's kind of compare these players back and forth. We've got Steve Avila out of TCU, 6'3", 332 is his listed or are his listed measurements. Now let's go back to O'Cyrus Torrence. We got 6'3", 332 against 6'5", 330. So it kind of depends what you like. If those things are the hang up for you, if you think that Avila is just a little bit small, that's obviously why a lot of people think that Avila is going to fall to the second round. That's been the discussion for most of the last month, maybe most of the last 50 days or so. Either one of these players is very difficult to be upset by. Now, you can come up with different permutations, right? Do the Cowboys come away with Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid in the first round and Steve Avila in the second? Do you like that situation better than O'Cyrus Torrence in the first round and, I don't know, Josh Downs in the second, Sam Laporta in the second, right? It depends on what combination you prefer if you're trying to pick your favorite overall outcome here. But either one of these players, I think, is a great pick for the Cowboys, contingent upon where they're taken. I do think the consensus would suggest that 26 might be a little bit rich for Steve Avila, but you're getting an incredible player. And we're talking about interior offensive linemen here. We're talking about the offensive line as a whole. And if there is a position in the game of professional football that our favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, has earned the benefit of the doubt on, it is here, right? The Cowboys do not miss when it comes to first-round offensive linemen. That's why I wanted to focus on these two. There are other names. We're going to put up the consensus big board in just a moment here, but these are the two candidates for the Cowboys to take in the first round specifically. I do think that you could categorize it as a bit of a reach to take Steve Avila at 26, and I know a lot of people would feel that way. But again, I think it's important for us to say and to establish right now, with about a week to go, that the Cowboys clearly, very, very clearly know what they are doing when it comes to evaluating offensive linemen. I mentioned the consensus big board. Let's take a look. Shout out to NFL Mock Draft Database. O'Cyrus Torrence, as you can see, the top-ranked interior offensive lineman. Steve Avila at the moment, the third. John Michael Schmitz there at second out of Minnesota. Cody Mauch is a name that we had obviously talked about as well. We have talked about in the different lead up to things. I think we've got his slide right here. Let me move myself over here. There we go. Again, you're talking about a bit of a lighter player here, obviously in the weight department. So again, it's all about what you prefer. A lot of people refer to this time of year as picking flavors of ice cream, et cetera, et cetera. And it depends on what you value, right? It depends on what you want. How long are you willing to wait on an interior offensive lineman? Whoops, we've got Peter Skoronski there as well. Let's move back though. That's what I was trying to do. I mean, what do you want? This really is a choose your own adventure sort of thing. Now, to be clear, it's hard to know whether O'Cyrus Torrence is going to be there at 26. You can see right now the 29th overall kind of evaluation on consensus big boards, projected to go at 27 to the Buffalo Bills, which would be one pick after the Cowboys right now. So that obviously has the Cowboys passing on him. The general premise, right? If we simulated the draft 1,000 times, I would say, I don't know, 700 of them, O'Cyrus Torrence is available for the Cowboys at 26. So what do you prefer? What ride do you want to get on? What path do you want to forge? Do you want to go down the path where you take O'Cyrus Torrence in the first? Does he mean that much to you and you're willing to settle at tight end? You're willing to settle at wide receiver or whatever the case may be? Obviously, there's other positions we can talk about if different players fell, whatever. But I would have a hard time being upset about this. I would, be a little bit moderately upset, obviously, about Steve Avila. But here's the thing. You look at where Steve Avila is kind of consensus ranked, right? 51. You look at where he's projected to go, 49. Does anybody know? Anybody in the class where the Cowboys pick in the second round? It's at 58. And even Cody Mauch, who we're talking about here, who we put on the slideshow as well, consensus rank 54, projected to go 52nd. I was going to say 52nd, 56th to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you've got to make a move. That's what this comes down to, right? Wherever you look, there's all sorts of great mock draft simulators, but it is very, very, very unlikely that you're going to have a lot of options at 58 when it comes to interior offensive linemen. That's why you can make the argument that this is the best adventure to get on, that this is the best path forward, that this is the right flap of the butterfly wings to go down this path. This is the preferred timeline of the six-sided dice, whatever it is. Shout out to Remedial Chaos Theory. That episode of Community always gets me. But the overall value of your overall draft class might be best if you decide to go guard in the first round. Again, presuming Osiris Torrance is there. Now, if you are in love, if you don't want to reach on a different guard, right? Maybe you're somebody who wants to obtain and maximize value, however you want to put that. I mean, maybe you're rooting for Osiris Torrance to be gone, right? So that the situation's kind of out of your hands, out of the Cowboys' hands, that is. But if he's available, it is a very difficult thing, I think, to imagine the Cowboys passing on him. But that's just my humble opinion. I'm not even full screen. Let's get this fixed. There we go. And if the Cowboys took Osiris Torrance, I mean, you're now talking about an offensive line where you have some, figuring out to do, right? In the potential combinations that we discussed, we didn't even mention Terrence Steele's name, did we? I don't even remember at this point. It's been 10 minutes. That was so long ago in my mind, in actual time. But is Terrence Steele going to play left guard? Are the Cowboys serious about this? They've been kind of tossing this out and throwing this out. Is that a real thing, or is that part of contract negotiations? Is that just bluffing? Is that just throwing people off the scent in the lead up to the NFL draft? We don't need a guard. Nobody look over here. We don't care about Osiris Torrance. Nobody thinks that. All right, if we want, we'll just play Terrence Steele at guard, right? We really don't know. And so this will answer a lot of those questions. But if that's the case, if the Cowboys are just kind of bluffing, if they are not serious about playing Terrence Steele at left guard, then from left to right, you would presumably, and this is in the world where you draft Osiris Torrance, presumably you would have Tyler Smith at left tackle, Osiris Torrance at left guard, Tyler Biadasz at center, Zach Martin at right guard, and Terrence Steele at right tackle, and Tyron Smith could kind of serve as your emergency swing tackle, whatever. Do you want to pay a lot of money for an emergency swing tackle? No, but this is kind of a unique situation. So I think you just kind of accept it and move on. Yeah, I'd have a hard time being upset about this. I've kind of, if you asked me today what my favorite outcome is for the Cowboys in the NFL draft, it's Jackson Smith-Njigba falling to them at 26, right? But that's not practical. That's not real. So if we measure practicality, if we measure reality, if we inject those variables and try to come out with something that is possible, that is obtainable for the Cowboys, it's hard to not put one of these situations at the very top of my preferred list. If you can address the interior of your offensive line, and if you can come back in the second round and you can get Sam Laporta, or if one of the other tight ends falls for one reason or another, then I think you've really done yourself a fantastic job. You've picked up 2 plug-and-play day one starters. And if the combination is flipped, if somehow, some way, and I'm sure, like me, you do a lot of mock draft simulations, and a lot of times I've done that. I've taken Dalton Kincaid or Michael Mayer in the first round, and Steve Avila has made it to 58 overall. I would love that either way, but I think the Cowboys have to come away with some interior offensive line help in those first 2 rounds. That's why we talked about the names that we did today. So my name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. I think that we got the audio on this video. The first time we did the tight ends video, we did not. That was super embarrassing for somebody who does this every day of their lives. So shout out to me for doing my job correctly. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can at RJ Ochoa. On TikTok, rj.ochoa, if that is your thing. If you want to send me an email, you can, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment here, and we'll do our best to get to those also. But really, really fun, exciting time. Like I said, we're going to be live all throughout the 2023 NFL Draft here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel and on our Twitch page, Twitch profile. Somebody catch me up on the Twitch lingo. But either way, so subscribe here, follow us there. We will also podcast all these conversations for you. We'll also have special reaction podcasts, lots of activity on social media. We're working on some other fun things as well. So it's going to be fun. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you have the greatest day of all time. I hope you have something delicious for your next meal. I hope it's amazing. And if there are chips involved, I hope they're really crunchy, because I'm about to eat some crunchy chips myself. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time.